Devil's Tower is a unique igneous formation and a major landmark in the northern plains of Wyoming, USA. It rises 250 meters above the surrounding sedimentary formations. Previous hypotheses have suggested that Devil's Tower was originally part of a magmatic intrusion, a volcanic conduit, magma rod, or laccolith. Our analysis of geological data shows that Devil's Tower is a remnant of an eroded lava lake that filled a wide, phreatomagmatic crater of a volcano. Our hypothesis is based on a detailed study of a similar phonolithic monument in the Czech Republic, called Boron and analog modeling, numerical finite element modeling of cooling for volcanic bodies of different shapes, as well as on the results of field and gravimetric studies in the area, Devil's Tower, along with a group of 5 phonolite bodies called the Missouri Bewitz, located 6 kilometers northwest of Devil's Tower, represent the easternmost products of tertiary tectonomagmatic events associated with lithospheric uplift of the Black Hills, monocline, phreatomagmatic deposits in the vicinity of the Missouri Buttes and Devil's Tower suggests that these phonolith bodies originally intruded into phreatomagmatic Meru diatreme volcanoes. To reveal the original shape of Devil's Tower, we used analog modeling, using gypsum as an analog of phonolithic magma, to study the internal structures and shapes of extrusive/intrusive magma bodies embedded in Meru diatreme volcanoes. The resulting shapes of the analog magma bodies were then used for finite element thermal numerical models of their cooling using thermophysical parameters of the phonolithic magma and rock formations surrounding Devil's Tower and Missouri Buttes. Because columnar separations grow perpendicular to isotherms during cooling of magmatic and volcanic bodies, we analyzed the correspondence between the thermal structure of the FE models and the columnar separation pattern on Devil's Tower. The best fit between the thermal structure and the inverted fan columnar detachment pattern at Devil's Tower was found for one of the models that created a lava lake that fills the entire Mar crater of the phreatomagmatic volcano. Devil's Tower represents the central part of the lake, located just above the feeder channel. After embedding and solidification of the lava lake, erosion first removed weakly consolidated phreatomagmatic deposits in the tuff ring around the lake. The lava body then underwent lateral erosion due to ice formation in the intercolumnar joints, pushing the columns away from each other into the open space. The remains of the frozen lake, Devil's Tower, is a structure resistant to such erosion because its base is formed by columns resting on top of each other and against the center of the tower. The basaltic magma made a channel to the Earth's surface through a thick layer of sedimentary. Many movies have been filmed in Devil's Tower, the most popular of which was the movie Close Encounters of the Third Degree, released in 1977, protected in 1906 for its scientific value. Devil's Tower remains an object of scientific study and admiration. The tower is known to be formed by a rare igneous rock, phonolite porphyry, and is the world's largest example of columnar detachment. Devil's Tower Cave is a very narrow crevice that served as a shelter for Neanderthals. Its maximum height is just over 10 meters, and its width is only about a meter, going into the rock for about 4 meters. The floor of the cave is on a rocky ledge 9 meters above sea level. And you know why Devil's Tower is so sacred. The Great Bear, Hunumpa, passed on the sacred language and healing ceremonies to the shamans of the Lakota tribe at the Bear House. Thus, Devil's Tower is considered the birthplace of wisdom. White Bull told of men of honor among the people who went up to Devil's Tower for 4-day periods, fasting and praying. A question often asked is, can I climb the tower? Yes, climbing is a common activity at the tower. The tower is closed to rock climbing twice during the year, in early April, to protect nesting falcons, and in June, voluntarily, to honor the American Indian cultural values associated with the tower grounds. Man has always had a sense of admiration for mountains. Without knowledge, people did not understand what power could create giant peaks, deep gorges. The creation of mountains was attributed to both gods and the devil. The special energy of the mountains also contributes to this. Most people feel in the mountains an elevated mood. Tone increases, emotionality grows. There are many peaks shrouded in legends, rumors, and speculations. One of them is Devil's Tower, located in the state of Wyoming, USA. It looks really mystical and brutal among the flat flowery plain rises for almost 400 m, either a giant tooth or a frozen waterfall from the divine heavens. What was that? The mind refuses to understand the nature of the origin without the intervention of otherworldly characters. According to the version of a local Indian tribe, the case was as follows. A giant bear came across 7 girls playing in the forest and decided to eat. However, the menu ran away. The girls climbed a boulder and called the Great Spirit to save them. And the boulder with the children ascended into the sky. The enraged bear rushed after the disappearing prey, leaving claw marks in real life, vertical separation. But the girls were no longer available. They turned into Pleiades stars, and the Indians named the rock bear's den Matotipola. It became Devil's Tower due to a mistranslation, but the name became such a popular brand that the authorities refused to restore the historically fair name, despite the fact that the Indians actively insisted on it. Rocks and formed a volcano. The main source was at depth and was a huge chamber with liquid magma. It happened in the Triassic period, about 225 to 195 million years ago. In the course of tens of millions of years, denudation, destruction of rocks, and their transfer to low-lying areas resulted in the disappearance of both the volcano and the host sedimentary rocks, and erosion cleaned the hexagonal feature from the host rocks. It took only 17 million years for the columnar basalts to be exposed, and the natural masterpiece was ready. The tourist industry immediately took advantage of this, turning the natural object into a popular destination. Thousands of tourists visit the Devil's Tower every year. As of now, about 500,000 sightseers have been here since its opening. This mountain also excites rock climbers. The first known conquerors, after the 7 Indian girls, were a couple of cowboys in the late 1890s who won a whiskey bet on this climb. It wasn't until 40 years later that climber Jack Durrance made a successful attempt. After several unsuccessful attempts, Jack elegantly and easily climbed up there using ladders. The third successful attempt, 1941, is more like an anecdote. A certain George Hopkins, a professional parachutist, who decided to master the second specialty of rock climbing in an easy way, landed on the Devil's Tower, and then for 7 days he could not be removed from there, even by the conquerors of 8,000ers. Johnny did not lose his humor and demanded Eve, becoming a TV star. Dozens of airplanes bombarded him with free food to the delight of hordes of rats, who had chosen the peak as a rat capital. The rats didn't understand the source of such generosity and began to look at Johnny like a child looks at the cherry on the cake. In the end, he was taken down by Jack Durrance after all. Whether he built an escalator for this purpose, history is silent. To date, there have been about 20,000 recorded climbs of the peak, sometimes up to a dozen teams take part in the assault at the same time. But it's not just the tour business that exploits the Devil's Tower. Steven Spielberg's 1977 cult movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind was filmed here. It probably predates the modern legends and myths about the UFO spaceport on the tower. The second alien comedy movie, Paul, The Secret Matter, 2011, was directed by Greg Motola. The entertainment industry didn't stop there. There was even a rock band called Stone Devil. It is a sacred site for more than 20 Indian tribes, including the Lakota and other Great Plains tribes. The tower is also known as the Bear Lodge. Many tribes still hold ceremonies at the site, including couples' tents and sun dances. Native American names for the tower reflect its cultural significance, and some groups advocate changing the name to better reflect its history.